In 2006, scientists used inspiration from the circus to prove how desert ants navigate. How did pig bristles help, and what did the results prove? Once again, in 2006, scientists used inspiration from the circus to prove how desert ants navigate. How did pig bristles help, and what did the results prove?
Did you say pig bristles?
I think it's like the hair on pigs. Or
I'm assuming, yeah. That's the only thing I can think of.
Oh, not like whiskers. We're talking like little hairs? I didn't think pigs had whiskers, but I could be wrong.
I think I'm fair to say that the bristles are just all their hair are bristles.
yes, yeah.
Okay.
I think once I pet an elephant and its hairs were so thick. It was like a steel
really coarse.
brush. They're very strong.
And you think pigs would be similar?
For some reason, I think so. I think that pig hairs might be pretty stout. But there's a lot going on in that question. The circus, the pigs,
The ants.
scientists, the ants.
2006.
I'm trying to think of circus skills. You have juggling, you have sort of body movement and stunts and aerobatics. What other circus stuff is there?
I'm going about it from a different perspective because desert ants versus normal ants, there must be a difference there if they're saying desert ants versus just like ants in general. Ants in general communicate via like scents, right? Like smells.
Yeah, I think
and maybe
so.
in a desert because like the sand is constantly shifting.
The sand is always shifting.
They can't like leave a scent trail as easily, so it has to be some other sort of trail.
Yeah, I mean, like I've spent nights in deserts. I grew up in the Middle East for a portion of my life, and the sand do be moving. You know what I mean? A lot more than like dirt and ground and like leaves in a forest and stuff like that.
So what's something from a circus where, and specifically pig bristles somehow, where like a trail could be left or some sort of communication could be communicated?
Okay. One of the circus skills is where you have groups of acrobats. So you have people forming pyramids, putting on each other's shoulders, like trying to high. So maybe the ants are climbing on each other somehow to communicate.
Have you ever seen an ant do that?
No.
I have seen ants like build structures, like bridging gaps and like building bridges and stuff, you know. So they do have like a hive construction capability.
Okay, and traveling circuses will set up big tops temporarily in a field.
But it's communication specifically, and then pig bristles.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out how the pigs
I'd like
tie
to
into this.
gently redirect you back to desert. You were doing good.
Okay.
Okay.
Scent pheromones might be hard to leave a trail because the sand is moving. So they need some other way of communicating. Like, because ants, they go out and they scout, and a scout ant needs to send, hey, there's a dead thing over here. Let's get the whole colony over here, harvest this dead thing and bring it back to the queen and all that stuff.
Do they leave things in the ground as they go or something like that?
Like a tent pole.
Like a
But a
pig
bristle.
So I like where you're going with tent poles.
Okay.
Think more along that and circus acts.
Okay.
They gave ants pig bristles, and the ants buried them like poles, like towers, like signal towers. And they like scout out, and they have these like signal towers to lead them back and forth along the towers, and the towers survive for longer than the sand takes to shift.
Let's see. You're assuming that they were simply gifted a pile of pig bristles.
Yes.
And then they just got to do with that what they please. Consider if it were less a pile of generosity, but that the pig bristles were more involved.
More involved.
Perhaps the ants had no say in the use of the pig bristles. In this circus-like situation, the ants now found themselves in.
They had to cross a pig bristle bridge.
I think you're kind of closer. This circus act is stilts.
Oh.
If you wore stilts, what would change?
I would be tall for once in my life.
Uh-huh.
Are you saying the scientists, like, grafted stilts onto the ants? Like, they used pig bristles as ant stilts?
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
So the ants would be taking bigger steps from farther up. They might be moving faster. They might be able to, like, clear larger debris more easily.
It means they count steps. The ants are taking longer strides.
They can count.
They can count.
Oh, and then they're like, okay, we go 5,000 steps this direction to the meet. And then, but they can communicate that? Or maybe they remember it and they're like, follow me 5,000 steps this way. What?
They know it's that many steps, and then some scientist comes along and gives them longer legs?
Meaning that the ants had to do what?
They took fewer steps. They had longer strides.
So they had to learn to adjust their stride to be smaller because now they had longer legs.
That's so smart, but I also like, why do I feel bad for the ants?
I feel really bad for the ants.
They're so tiny.
I'm so delighted by this. I have actually prepared a visual aid. So I happen to have a different arthropod just on my desk. So
a convenient lobster.
You know, if you would imagine poor little lobster here, you know, with his legs, if you were to suddenly attach like chopsticks to him, if he, you know, were to try to do this, he would have to like take teeny tiny steps now. And like, if he were memorizing how many steps it was to get where he was going, he would have to take like little bitty, you know, like I'm wearing a tight dress, little steps. But yeah, the reason why this is so cool, I happen to have a boar's head brush because I'm a painter. They're really stiff. So like, if you see like how much resistance there is in a boar's head brush, you could definitely, yeah, if you attached one bristle per ant leg, you could support the weight of an ant with one of these. I don't know what adhesive. It doesn't say what adhesive they used. And some of the ants were not so lucky. They did shorten some ant legs.
Oh no.
To see if it would work the other way. And they those ones didn't walk far enough. They couldn't lengthen their stride.
Oh no.
Scientists wanted to find out how desert ants found their way around, given that they didn't have landmarks because it's out in the desert. And the chemical trails would be, you know, quickly buried beneath the sand. So they attached pig bristles to the ants as miniature stilts. They found that the ants would walk past their home. This meant that the ants were using some kind of internal pedometer. They were counting their steps to judge distance. So after a few days with their modified stilt legs, they were able to adjust their stride to be shorter to get back to the correct distances again, suggesting that they can like recalibrate their internal measurement distance.
I don't know how such a tiny brain can work so well.
The Lateral Producers Club is at lateralcast.com if you would like more Lateral, fewer adverts, and to support the show.